Alrighty, so we now know where the 2022 MLS Cup is going to take place, as it's going to be happening at Bank of California Stadium after LAFC were able to move on to their first ever MLS Cup after winning Austin in a game where, it's not often that in a playoff game, especially this deep now into the playoffs, where we see a very one-sided affair, and this is exactly what we saw, because LAFC, not only they were at their best in this game, and we know when LAFC are at their best, they are an unstoppable force, and not many teams, if any, can actually stop them in their track. But you could say that this probably could have been 4-5 or even 6-0 in favor of them. I mean, in the end, it was 3-0 in favor of LAFC, but if it wasn't for LAFC missing some big chances and Brad Stuver really, I kind of feel bad for him because he was completely hung out to dry in this game by this Austin defense. Yeah, this could have been a very ugly game, and yet there is definitely that big talking point about that non-penalty that was given to Austin around the 69th minute. That I know Austin fans are definitely going to be talking about that, and they're definitely going to be pointing that moment as a moment where they maybe have kind of got hard done in this one, and I kind of don't blame them, because I know the fact that in a big game like this, and this is again what I fear heading into the playoffs, there's going to be a bad VAR call that is going to really kind of change how this game. And overall, when you look at how it is, if you just minus that questionable call, LAFC definitely deserve it. But again, I can understand why maybe some Austin fans would definitely chirp on the fact that if that was given a penalty and they could get a goal back, which at that point it was only 2-0, things could have been a lot different than what we see in this one. Though, in the first half, one thing I want to mention is that there was definitely some Verde in the stands in this one. I mean, I know it was a packed house at Bank of California Stadium, and it was mostly black and gold, but you definitely saw some Verde, not only in the away section, which, I think they mentioned before how there was only like about 200 fans that was in the away section for Austin, which I feel like that was not a lot, and that in some way, I think they wish that it would have been bigger, because I think home team have the rights in terms of allocate how many away fans can be in the away section, and maybe LAFC kind of hard done Austin in terms of that, because I'm pretty sure if they give Austin a bigger allocation in terms of away fans in their stadium, it would have been a lot bigger. But that being said, that also opened a couple of Austin fans pretty much just sitting around the stadium, because we definitely saw a lot of they are around the stadium. I mean, not in a way where it kind of just completely dominate the stadium. I mean, it was still mostly black and gold, but there was definitely some Verde around the stadium that you can definitely recognize. But that being said, in terms of how the game was going to go, I mean, early on it looked like Austin was going to just sit deep and hope that they can basically ask LAFC to see that can they of course break them down. Well, the answer, as we will find out for the rest of the game, is no, and absolutely no, because LAFC would just completely ran riot again, a so-called Austin kind of deep block that they were trying to put in this one. The first shot in the 7th minute came when Arango hits a weak shot straight to Stuver, but then he blasts a free kick high in the 15th minute before Cifuentes came close of scoring the opening goal of the Western Conference Final, as he struck the post after he went through on goal on the right side. And again, it's been all LAFC in this one, and despite the fact that, again, Austin, they were trying to put a low block and trying to make LAFC work to trying to break them down, yeah, they weren't doing a good job in terms of the low block. And I will also say that, coming into this game and really coming into this season, this was always a big question for this Austin team, of the fact that their defense at times have not been great whatsoever. Well, in this game, not only the fact that it was not great, but that's just saying it kindly, because man, it was an absolute mess that their defense was, and that there was just so many times where they were being gaping holes at the back, and maybe players not able to step up or even lose their marker in this one. I mean, it was pretty bad for them. But at the same time, you got to credit LAFC, and especially on the attack in this one. I mean, I can't really just say exactly which attacking player for LAFC really stood out, because pretty much all of them stood out in this one and was at their best. Vela then strike one right to Stuver in the 20th minute before he just missed wide from 19 yards out in the 21st minute. The shots was 7-0 in favor of LAFC. I mean, it was total domination by the home side up to that point. And then Stuvert got away with a big mistake. And again, Walt Stuvert, I'm not going to blame him for this game because, he just got no help from his defense in this one. He almost made a big mistake in this one. He came off his line here and he didn't get the ball. And when you don't get the ball and you're the goalkeeper that came off his lines, you're in big trouble. And Bawanga basically was able to get to there, and he was trying to maybe tap it into the empty net, but weren't able to do so. But that being said, that mistake eventually did kind of partially was punished from LAFC because on the ensuing corner, Chicharito was scored from Vela to make it 1-0 in favor of LAFC, and that was just horrendous marking from Austin in the set piece. Like, you cannot leave Chicharito wide open like that in the box and expect nothing. Or expect you not to potentially get score on. And again, that just kind of sums up the defensive display for Austin in this game, just completely being outmatched by the quality that LAFC has had. But yeah, that gives LAFC a 1-0 lead. Again, it was kind of coming because we knew the pressure was mounting, and that really the only question is the fact that is this going to be maybe one of those games for LAFC, which we have seen it before, where they haven't been very clinical in terms of finishing, and it's going to come back to haunt them. But thankfully for them in this one, at least for the most part, they were able to score some crucial goal, and it was really crucial for them to finally break through after all the pressure that they would put against Austin. In the 41st minute, Stuvert would then deny Vela from close range before he would deny Cifuentes from close. And again, Austin, they were just praying to get this halftime at 1-0 because it was just unrelentless pressure that LAFC had, and Stuvert is just single-handedly just trying to stood on his head to keep this one at 1-0, and that, as I said, LAFC completely ripping that Austin backline to shreds. And also at the end of the first half, and fortunate for Austin, they were able to keep this one at 1-0. But on the attacking end, also complete non-factor. 0 shots in the first half of this game, which is by far, I think this is the first time maybe in Austin history that they actually didn't even fail to register a single shot in the first half. But we do get to the second half, and in the second half, they finally register a shot in the 51st minute as Ring heads it wide from close range. And I thought Austin, they were slowly getting some possession, and maybe were showing a little bit of urgency in terms of trying to get the equalizer. I mean, they have survived a huge amount of pressure that they had in the first half, and were probably fortunate that they only gave up a goal, but at the same time, they weren't really creating much chances. And as the second half kind of kicked into place, where I thought maybe LAFC kind of got off to a bit of a slow start heading in the second half, but then they started to get going again. And it started in the 57th minute when Vela, oh boy, he definitely want this one back because he had a free header here, but just mistimed his jump there and couldn't quite hit that one in. And then Stuvert had to deny Hollinshead on that same sequence. And again, Stuvert is the only sort of lifeline that Austin has in this one, because it was just he was single-handedly just stood on his head to trying to keep this one at 1-0 and hope that maybe Austin will just have one attack on the other end and get themselves the equalizer. Rango then went through on goal in the 59th minute, but he hits it straight to Stuvert. And again, LAFC just amping the pressure again as they were looking to trying to score the killer second goal. Stuvert then denied Arango in the near post in the 60th minute. Before in the 62nd minute, finally LAFC got that crucial second goal. And unfortunately, it's an own goal that is scored from Maxi Urruti, and you gotta feel bad for him because he literally just came on. That must be one of the fastest own goal as a substitute appearance of him scoring that. And really, I thought this was actually a great header from Urruti. Like, the ball was coming in, and that Urruti did a good job in terms of connecting that one into the header and heads it into the back of the net. The only problem is it was the wrong neck, and I think he forgot that he was playing for Austin rather for LAFC, and yeah, that of course gifted LAFC the second goal of this one. And at that point, you could definitely say that maybe is game, set, and match, because again, Austin, there was at no point in this game, maybe besides the first 10 minutes in the second half, there was no point you think that they have a chance in terms of even getting one goal in this one. Driussi then flashed one wide from long range, as that was his first chance and the first shot of the game. Little did we know that was his only shot that he would have in this entire game. I mean, you got to give credit to LAFC. They completely shut down Sebastian Driussi in this game. Like, he was he was just a non-factor in this one. And the same goes with Diego Fagundes too. I mean, no, that's another credit you got to say about this defense of LAFC. I mean, I know the attack is going to get all the praise because of how dominant the LAFC looked, but their defense was equally stingy. Like, they did not let some of the best attacking player for Austin do anything throughout this one. But then we get to the controversial call, and we get to the call where at least maybe Austin fans might have something to say about how this is a moment that, it pretty much maybe cost us the game, where there was no penalty that was given after VAR deemed that Morello did not foul Fagundes in the box here. Actually, I don't know why I said ball in the box. I meant Fagundes in the box there. And not only the fact that is not true, but it was pretty obvious. Like, when you look on the replay, and as soon as they go to VAR, I thought they were going to overturn it. Like, I thought for sure that they were going to do it. You can clearly see Morello step on top of Fagundes' feet there, and that is definitely a stone cold penalty according to everybody's book, but it was not given. And again, I said this before, and I'll say it again. This is why I just always have this fear, and that I don't want to say my fear kind of came true in terms of the fact that we have these kind of situation where a bad VAR call has changed the game, though Austin FC fans would say otherwise. But yeah, I mean, this is just something that is the reason why, again, I was hoping that it was going to happen, and so far throughout this playoffs, I think most of the call has been correct, but because of the inconsistency we've seen with refereeing nowadays in MLS, and it feels like every single season we have these kind of calls that is blown in the game. Yeah, I mean, again, if Austin would have got the penalty, and let's say if they, of course, would have scored that one, I would have think that this would have been a different game. This would not be where LAFC would just kind of hit cruise control, and that, again, I think also for the entertainment's sake and just for the neutral, yeah, I feel like if this was going to be at 2-1, it would have been provide a much more entertaining one. Because if you're a neutral in this one, you can easily say that this was not an enjoyable match. I mean, it's an enjoyable match if you're an LAFC fan, but as a neutral and as for Austin fans that want to see drama in a playoff game, this was not to do so, and it adds to the top of the fact that we have a controversial call that, again, Austin fans, knowing they're also one of the fan base that never likes the referee decision, that, and especially they always are the one that's the loudest in terms of talk about how referees screw them over. Yeah, they're going to be voicing a lot of displeasure after that, and in some way, rightfully so, because I think that was the wrong call in the end. Though in the 73rd minute, Cifuentes was blasted wide from long range, and again, they also showed us stats on ESPN that Driussi had 1 shot and 0 creation in this one. I mean, again, he was absolutely shut down in this game, and that again, a lot of credit has to be with the LAFC defense doing a good job in terms of shutting things down. But this is what happened when you don't have your best players stepped up in big game like that. Just don't wonder why you, of course, are on the losing end. Cascante then had Austin's first shot on goal as he heads it straight to Crepeau. I mean, Crepeau might as well just decided to be in the stands and maybe be standing with the 3-2-5-2 in this one, because he was basically a spectator throughout the entire part of this game besides that one save that he has in the 80th minute. And then in the 82nd minute, this was the final nail in the coffin as Opoku would make it 3-0 in favor of LAFC, and I believe this came off like a tackle that I think it was Fagundes that tackled this one, and the ball kind of bounced fortuitously right to Opoku, which again, that just also sums up Austin afternoon, where when it's not going for you, it's definitely not going for you either in terms of the luck and the bounces in the game, and that, yeah, for LAFC, that even though at times they were a little bit shoddy in terms of their finishing, that was a clinical finishing there from Mahana Opoku. And yeah, that was really the final nail in the coffin, and really kind of the mark where for the rest of the game you can clearly see who, of course, is going to move on to MLS Cup. Because for the last 10 minutes, you notice I didn't write any notes whatsoever, because there was really nothing happened in the last 10 minutes. Like, both team knows what is the outcome of this game, and in the end, it's LAFC moving on to MLS Cup, and we'll be hosting MLS Cup in this one after getting a 3-0 win over Austin. And the stats pretty much just show LAFC completely dominated this game. 22 shots compared to just 7 that Austin had. 10 shots on goal compared to 1 that Austin had. 8 shots off target for the 2 that Austin has. Both teams had 4 shots that was blocked, and possession-wise, 51% possession compared to the 49% possession that Austin has. And as we get close to the Eastern Conference final game between the Union and NYCFC, let's just hope that that game is going to be a little bit more entertaining, because as much as this is an entertaining game if you're an LAFC fan, as a neutral and an Austin FC fans, yeah, this was kind of a little bit anticlimactic. And I would also say that in terms of this whole playoffs, it's been kind of anticlimactic in a way where there hasn't really been some entertaining game. But, you know, it's not LAFC fault that the fact that they were the better team by a country mile in this game. I mean, after all, this is a team that is in MLS Cup or bust mode. And, you know, throughout this playoffs, there is that narrative of the fact that they can't get it done in big games. Well, it feels like they're proving that narrative wrong, at least at the moment, because they still need to win the whole competition. And that, again, no matter if it's going to be the Union or NYCFC that's going to be moving on later tonight, they're going to have a daunting task against this LAFC team, because what we saw in this game was LAFC at their best. And I'll say it before, and I'll say it again: when LAFC is at the best, nobody can stop them in MLS. But also for Austin, you know, I know this was definitely not the way that they were hoping the game would turn out to be, but I still think Josh Wolf's team should be proud of how this team is. I mean, the turnaround that they had from the first season into the second season, and the fact that they've been able to go all the way to the conference final, which if you would have told me that that was the case last year, that the very next year that we make it to the conference final, everybody would have laughed at you, and even Austin fans would say that that's just completely being too deluded kind of thinking. But that's what this team has got in this place, and I think there's definitely some bright future for this Austin team in the future. And that, and you know, I think in the offseason they're definitely going to prioritize in terms of fixing the defense, because like I said, in this game and really throughout this second half of the season, this defense have not been great whatsoever, and it has not been a defense that you could say that maybe could be the one that gets the MLS Cup. And that, how many times we've said before, where if you want to win MLS Cup, you know, it's not just about having the best attack. You also need to have a good defense. And, you know, again, Austin, when you look at this defense, it just does not look like one that you can say that could be an MLS Cup contender. And they will find out a hard way in this one against LAFC. That was just at their best throughout this game. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this match? And again, congratulations to LAFC making to MLS Cup for the very first time, and your new Western Conference champion for the first time, not only in their franchise history, but the first time that we have a team that is not named the Portland Timbers and the Seattle Sounders that is making to the Western Conference final. But unfortunately, it feels like as much as the Cascadia dominance is kind of over this year, that's not the same case in terms of if you look at the LA kind of dominance, where, you know, before the Cascadia dominance, I think it was LA teams that always made it, and it feels like, you know, we're still, maybe now I might change the headlines of the fact that, are we going to finally see a team in the Western Conference that is not from LA and not from the Cascadia region get to the conference final? Because, I mean, it's been a long time, I remember, since a Western Conference team that it is not named. I think, well, actually, maybe besides 2013, where was it Sporting KC or RSL, the one that, of course, I think it was RSL, the one that made it out into MLS Cup as a Western Conference team, because I think Sporting KC was an Eastern Conference team back then. That we have not had a team that is from LA or in the Cascadia region have made it to MLS Cup. But at least I will say that my prediction in terms of when I make that video, I think last year, talk about which team is going to be that team that ends the dominance in terms of the Cascadia dominance between the Sounders and the Timbers. I said LAFC was going to do it, and that's exactly what happened. But either way, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.